I see a smoked salmon pizza come to the pass. And I said, Paul, what the fuck is that? And he said, it's the smoked salmon pizza. So he said...
And you're like, yeah, I know what that is. I'm wondering why. All right, welcome back to Industry Only at the Cheese Store. I'm here with Dom. Dom's got sandwiches as usual. This is a very lucky day for us because we have the past, present, and the future of the Wolfgang Puck Empire, meaning that we have Wolfgang and we have his son Byron here. And I think we're just going to talk about the past, present, and the future of the Wolfgang Empire, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, like I remember a while ago asking Chef Lee and saying, hey, why doesn't Wolfgang have a cooking school? Like, why doesn't he have a culinary school? He should. And he said, well, that's what Spago's
It is a culinary school.
Right? So, I was like, whoa. I was kind of blown away by it. So, I guess, if
Isn't your chef here from Spago?
Yeah. We took everybody. We took
what the fuck are you talking about?
Hillary Henderson.
We took Hillary.
So we did
he stole our chef and he's complaining.
I borrowed.
So we did a podcast with Ari, right?
And then he gives us Lambrusco to drink.
We did a podcast with Ari, and he was talking about
it's delicious,
everybody who came through, obviously. We know about Nancy Silverton and Mark Peel. Ari was mentioning his relationship with Evan Funke, Jason Nerone, Govan Armstrong.
Antonio Fazio.
So, exactly. So I guess Dom is really obsessed with this family tree idea.
I am, because, if you think about it, how many chefs have... First of all, the chefs that you currently still have there, any one of them can go on and do their own thing, with the skills that you've given them. Also,
right, they can come make sandwiches at a cheese store.
Actually, we're hiring. No. But if you think about it, from the beginning, so many legendary chefs have gone through those doors. I mean, there's something. I know, Andy, you've written about this, but there's something truly to be said about the level of talent that you guys execute day in and day out, and the tools that you give these chefs. Not only while they're there,
right now.
No, I am. But also too, not only while they're there, but also these chefs have gone on to create their own empires. We need to discuss that lineage and talk about how many different chefs have gone through that.
Okay, so who are the 5 best cooks who've come out of Spago?
Oh my God, what a question.
And who are the 5 worst?
Oh my.
No, we can't do that.
Wow.
No, but what are some things that you're especially proud of that are the legacy of Spago? Let's ask it the right way.
If you ask really what we are the most proud of is longevity. How many restaurants have come and gone over the years. We opened in 1982 in January, so it's almost 43 years. All the restaurants who were popular at that time, from Le Dôme to Ma Maison to L'Orangerie to the Bistro to Chasen's, you name them, they're all in the cemetery. So we are the only ones still thriving, So I think that's really the thing. It's just like being married. It's easy to get married, but to stay married for a long time, it's a lot of work. And you ask Dominic, he's married how many times? 4 times?
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 times. Yeah. Every vintage he changes. So,
You two are competing right now.
He's like Dom Perignon.
He used to take his dates.
I have one wife.
He used to take his dates to
right
Ago.
now. Yeah.
There's still time. That's the whole point.
Is this a roast or is he a guest on our podcast?
It's always a roast.
It's a roast.
Right.
Well, so what's the secret? How do you keep that longevity? What is the secret?
Of the women or the
Sure,
restaurant?
don't they go hand in
both
hand?
together.
What do you think the secret is? They go hand in hand.
You tell me about the women. You said you only have ones at a time. Then I answer you about the restaurant.
I want to know what your secret is. How do you keep this longevity, this level of talent? How do you execute at such a high level for so long?
Right, despite the fact that, as we were alluding to, you've had a lot of talent leave and go do their own thing and create their own empire. So, 1, how proud are you of that? And 2, how do you maintain at the same time, knowing that...
Well, I think for me, the most important part, and I preach that or say that for many, many years, is tradition and innovation. You cannot stay the same for the rest of your life because then you go backwards or you go down. So I think it's important to let people know who you are. They know who you are. They know what you represent. But it's also a big part is continuous improvement and continuous innovation. So you don't want to go too far ahead and let all the past things go. So you have to really balance life and say, okay, I love to do new things, but I also have to keep traditional life. You know, when you look at Spago, we have dishes like our smoked salmon pizza or the tuna cones, or many other dishes we have, like the agnolotti and so forth. You know, people come for that, so we can't take it really off the menu. And if I take it off the menu, people want it anyway, so I might as well just keep it on there.
Yeah.
So I think that's really, at the end, is an important part. You know, we also changed the restaurant, we remodeled the restaurant, and we constantly think, how can we get better? Like at the moment now, we put actually the menu on two pages. One is innovation and one is the tradition. So that way, if somebody wants something innovative, a special menu or just one or two dishes from the innovation side, they can have that. But they still can have the Wiener Schnitzel, and they still can have a great pizza or the agnolotti right now with white truffles. I don't see any white truffles on the fucking table here.
Next commercial break.
On the next hour, it's coming. Okay.
The wine
cabinet
locked.
gets open. When we talk about Byron,
Okay.
we're going to serve the good wine and the truffles.
Okay, all right.
Wow.
So that's,
Right now, it's Lambrusco and old cheese.
I'm going to hold you to that one.
Yeah.
We got an hour.
We can bring your own. You charge corkage or what?
Only for you.
Only for me. Okay, good.
So obviously you keep reinventing and stuff. Like, how many iterations would you say Spago has gone through up until now?
Well, when we started in 1982 up on Sunset Boulevard, we were the first restaurant with an open kitchen. There was no such thing at that time, you know. So to have a fine dining or a white tablecloth restaurant, and the kitchen was in the middle of the dining room.
Yeah.
So
for perspective, can you tell us who was in the kitchen when you opened? Because there are some people there.
Well, thank God, yeah.
Yeah.
If not,
Wasn't just you.
yeah, so I think it was amazing. We had, obviously, I was doing the grill, the vegetables, and the sauces at that time. I was going to the fish market. There was no farmers market at that time. I used to go down to the Chino farm in Rancho Santa Fe, which is 2.5 hours from here, to get the best vegetables and melons and strawberries and so forth. So it was always about the ingredients. And we had Nancy Silverton was our pastry chef. I remember Mark Peel was doing pasta. May he rest in peace up there and look down on us. And then I had Casuto. He worked with me at Ma Maison. He was doing the appetizers. And I had Ed Ladou doing pizzas. So we were like 5 people on the line. All together, the restaurant had 27 employees when we opened up. Fast forward, we had 10 years later or 5 years later, we had 80 or 90 employees. Wow. So at the beginning, it was really crazy, but it was a lot of fun. And we were cooking from 5:30, 6 o'clock at night until past midnight every day.
Kept the labor costs low with some heavy hitters back then.
Yeah.
Totally.
Job.
Right.
Yeah.
At what point did your children start working for you to really cut the labor costs?
Whenever the labor costs got too high, cheap labor, I only can do it with the kids. You know, the regular people, I have to pay them minimum wage at least, but Byron works for half.
No, half was
He
generous.
takes the other half in Gucci suits.
I started, I was super lucky because growing up in the restaurant, you're always enamored by it, and watching your parents move through it is an amazing experience. And then he put me to work at 12 at Spago in Beverly Hills. And I just wanted to kind of see the back of the house, understand the kitchen a little bit more. So he was like, no, you'll go wash the dishes. It's like, okay, let's go. Yeah. And so I remember spending my summer there, like in between, I think, 6th and 7th grade, washing dishes, but definitely didn't get paid half.
But you got room and board.
I did
more
get.
you
I
want?
He's 12 years old.
Yeah.
Room and
Isn't
board.
he entitled to room and board at 12?
Went straight home and your boss is still there.
And he's still yelling at you.
Yeah. So at what point, because I know we're joking about this, but I know, Wolfgang, you always say that you like to be surrounded by young people. You want to hear their ideas.
That's why I make young people every 20 years. You know?
Oh, man.
I love the tone of where this is about to go.
Look at that. Oliver is here. He's 19.
Right.
Byron is 30. He just turned 30 a few weeks ago. And then I have my oldest boy, Cameron. He's 35. And I'm actually a grandfather. So it's amazing.
So it's on average every 10 years, huh?
Average every 10 years. But I don't think I can afford it any longer with guys like you who don't want to work in a restaurant. Oliver is here. He wants to do music. So I said,
Why are you calling me? I'll call out Alex, too.
Okay, well, you are closer, so.
you just happen to be right here, so it's easy for him.
It's just proximity bias.
So we were talking about the legacy of people at Spago, and we really want to get to your story, Byron, like if that's even going to be possible, given like all the people that are sitting here. But How do you feel about sort of this legacy of food that you've created? I'm just going to give 2 recent examples, right? Like Horses opened, was a big deal opening. They put a pizza obviously inspired by your pizza, and they pretty much said, we went to Spago, and that was one of our influences, right? As you probably know now, there's a special pizza at Leopardo that's a smoked salmon pizza with a lot of roe. That's their riff on it. But also, your pizza is at Gelson. So tell me about how you created one thing and it's become all things now, right?
Well, I think imitation is maybe a flattery, they say. So I think, and I don't mind if people try it. You know, the most amazing thing was like years ago, maybe 15 years ago, I was in Lyon, and Paul Bocuse was a good friend of mine, and I go to his restaurant there, and we're standing at the pass, and all of a sudden, I see a smoked salmon pizza come to the pass. And I said, Paul, what the fuck is that? And he said, it's the smoked salmon pizza. So he said...
And you're like, yeah, I know what that is. I'm wondering why.
So then he brought me a menu, and it said Spago pizza, Spago smoked salmon pizza on the menu.
No way.
The same thing was one time, Oliver was at Manchester United at a soccer camp there. And we go to an Italian restaurant, and they have Spago smoked salmon pizza in Manchester. You know, we love Manchester United, but I think the smoked salmon pizza, they went a little bit too far. And since they didn't hire Oliver to play football there, so I think I should have said no. But, so I asked the waiter, what is this smoked salmon pizza here, Spago pizza? And he said, well, this is a special pizza, one of our specials here. We are very famous for that. I said, oh, thank you.
Did he know who you were when he was telling you?
No,
I
didn't.
Makes it so much better.
You're a fly on the wall.
Yeah, there's some chef in L.A. He invented the show. We have to serve it.
Guys, he's drinking Lambrusco, in case you're just listening and not watching. And he drank half the glass.
Oh,
Byron is going to now have to take over. He has passed out on the floor.
Sana is not far away.
So this is a question for both of you, because smoked salmon pizza, tuna cones, you know, Wiener Schnitzel, all these things that you're known for.
Wiener.
Yeah, or even like some of the dishes, like whatever, lobster chinois.
Yeah.
When you eat this now, do you even know, like, what does it taste like to you? Are you tired of eating it? Does it taste different? Does it taste the same? Because you've probably eaten a smoked salmon pizza probably 1,000 times in your life, right?
You know, when something is really good, it's really good. You know, if you get fine clothes, they're always very good. You go to Loro Piana and get a jacket or a sweater, you know, they have very good cashmere, and it always feels good. It felt good 40 years ago, it feels good today. The same thing is, if you create something, and that's what I mean, becoming a classic is something which stands the test of time, where after so many years, you say, wow, this is really good. I sometimes eat the smoked salmon pizza. I put a little extra Osetra caviar on top and have it with a good glass of champagne, not with Lambrusco, obviously, you know, and have a good glass of champagne with it, and there's nothing better. So I think it's great. Or right now in the truffle season, to eat an agnolotti with white truffles on it. And
he's still not giving you truffles. But...
No, I'm hinting, but nothing happened.
We'll think about it. Let me see what we can do.
Okay. So we still have bread here, so it's okay. Yeah. We'll finish the dry bread here.
Right.
He learned from Norbert, you know. The damn Austrian was so cheap, you know.
Oh, my God.
All right, let's see if we can try to actually let Byron answer a question.
Okay, good.
I appreciate it.
No,
so I think...
All right, I'm going to eat no matter what they say.
Thank you. By the way, this is all fresh, just so you know. It's all fresh.
Okay.
Oh, on your note, though, I mean, I definitely...
He can't let it go.
Yeah. I definitely equate it to like music in a lot of regards, right? Like you can have hits and you can have classics. And throughout time, you know, hits will stay and they'll come and go over the course of a few years. But a classic is something that, to my dad's point earlier, has this longevity that begets it and stays and has that beautiful staying power. And every time you go back to it, it almost feels like a nouveau experience. And I think the salmon pizza, the tuna cones, the Wiener Schnitzel, the agnolotti, it's dishes like that I will never get tired of. My dad always likes to joke. He's like, I grew up on a potato and you grew up on salmon pizza. And he's not wrong. I'm incredibly fortunate and grateful to have that be the case. And it's a beautiful thing. But even still, I think I've eaten, 10,000 smoked salmon pizzas right in my life. And every time I have it, it's that nouveau experience. It's like listening to a classic track.
It still feels like something. It still gives you that feeling of like being alive in a certain way.
It makes me feel like I'm at home too, because it's such a part of my history and my childhood as well. Every time I dive into that pizza, I mean, I get the biggest smile on my face every time, because it can just truly make you happy. And that's what food should do, right? It should make you happy.
Yeah. So we've talked about the classics, but in terms of the innovation, you obviously went, Byron, and cooked in some of the more avant-garde restaurants, the world's 50 best restaurants. I think you worked with the Roca brothers, right?
With the Roca brothers, yes.
Tell me about like how you go do something like that and what you bring back to Los Angeles with that, and how you innovate your family's business after working for the Roca brothers.
Yeah, I think, and I have to give a serious shout out to Joan, Josep, and Jordi, the three brothers that run that space. I was there in 2015 when we won Best Restaurant of the Year. And it's still, to this day, 9 years later, is one of the most seminal experiences of my life. Like, I adore those guys so much because they ran such a pristine operation, but they let everyone have so much fun simultaneously. I had the most amount of fun in that kitchen. I mean, they used to give me a water glass every day when I walked up to the line. And one day they filled it with 150 proof gin. And they were just like, we're just going to get this kid today, right? And so like I walked in, we're in the middle of a busy dinner service, and I pick up the cup and I swig it. And I take, like 4 ounces of 150 proof gin. I remember running into the back of the kitchen, throwing up in the trash can, and coming back a minute later and plating all of the the suckling pig and everything we had on the menu. But it felt like a family there. It really did. We were all making fun of each other. We were all having fun with each other. We were all there for each other, helping each other and allowing each other to grow. So I hold them in such a high regard. I think to your question, though, it was great to be in Spago, to be in Cut, and to be in different restaurants at a really young age as I started to first hone my skills. But then I think one of the best things you did was tell me you need to go and see the world. You need to go and work for other chefs. You need to go see how everyone does things in their own way. And I think now coming back after working for Graham Achatz at Alinea, or Eric Ripert at Le Bernardin, or the Roca brothers in Spain, or Guy Savoy in France, I've been able to come back with a lot of perspective, and perspective from culinary styles, techniques, service operations, all of that. And to my dad's first point of this kind of Japanese term we hold very near and dear of Kaizen and continuous improvement, I think you can only improve when you really take a strong look at the competition, take a strong look at what others are doing in the world that's very impactful, and try and bring that back into the foray of what we're doing on a consistent basis.
What's also crazy is too, I don't know if everyone knows this or not, but you went to Cornell. You went to arguably one of the best schools for what it is that you're doing. We like to think so over there. No, it really is. And so, I mean, that was like, in a lot of ways, like, you have not only the most amazing experience, amazing education, but you have the most amazing experience. So like, those two hand in hand, you usually get one or the other. You don't get both. So like, that's a testament to you. I mean, congratulations on that.
Thank you. I mean, I consider myself insanely lucky to be able to have that ability, because it taught me so many things at such a young age that I don't think you necessarily learn, between 18 to 22 as a chef working in a kitchen. Being able to delve that deeply into the finances of the hospitality business was so important, and again, so fortunate to have that opportunity. My father left school when he was 14 to go and start his career.
You're right.
Come on, I had to. It's my own. I just once.
I hired a guy.
I'll give you the more blunt knife over there.
Once I hired a guy from Harvard to run our worldwide company, where we have licensing and stuff like that. We do the cafes at the airport and everything. And he dreamt of, because he studied finances. He didn't study operations in a restaurant or cafe or anything like that. But he knew numbers, and he could raise money and all that stuff. But he almost bankrupted me. So I think it was a close call. Finally, I had to fire him. One day he asked me, he told me, actually, he said, when the feds come to talk to you, and you better don't lie. I said, oh my God. So I had to ask my business manager, Marty, and I said, Marty, why would the feds come? He said, well, if you do something bad, it's the FBI. If they come to interview you, I said, oh, shit, I better fire the guy
Just give him
right
a
away.
tuna cone and salmon pizza. Don't look the other way.
So it was scary. So later on, I said, okay, now I have to go to Harvard and find out if the guys there are really that bad. So, so I did some classes at Harvard, which was very interesting. They have a program called Owner-President's Management. Mm-hmm. And so I spent 3 months, 3 times 1 month there, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot about communication and ideas and marketing and stuff like that. So it was an exciting thing going from not even middle school to Harvard.
Wow.
So now my kids cannot say, but Dad never went to college.
Yeah.
And even I graduated, I was 69 years old.
You went to the best one on your terms.
Yeah.
Well, you're 3 for 3 since Oliver just got into college right now. So we're just waiting on the last one right now.
LMU,
But
right?
he's doing pretty good so
LMU,
far.
yeah.
Congratulations. That's a good sound, by the way, Byron. Thank you for looking around. It's a
Yeah.
good sound. That means everything's functioning properly in the building.
Okay, good.
If
Perfect.
you don't hear that sound,
You
the
don't
red
need to
light
call
goes up.
anybody.
Well, yeah, we're
right,
good
we're
right
good.
now. Yeah.
So we're talking about the legacy of the people that have been in your kitchen, working in the kitchen, but we should also just talk about the other people that have been in your kitchens, right? I mean, Wolfgang, I think I've been talking to you for 10 years, and I want to go find something. This is the first quote that you ever gave me, or the first quote that I ever published. I know already that Bradley Cooper wants to get the Wagyu steak from Snake River Farms. Barbara Streisand already told me she's coming for chicken pot pie with truffles. Obviously, we're talking about the governor's ball. Obviously, you've done this for decades. So, I mean, I just want to ask you, is this still exciting and fun for you? Do you get tired of it? What do you look forward to every year when you do something like this?
I never can get tired of food and sex. So
Right.
that's very simple.
All right, so threesome with Bradley Cooper,
geez.
Barbara Streisand.
Oliver, don't say anything at home, okay?
I wish you could pan the camera because it's like 4 face palms consecutively.
I know I shouldn't talk like that with the kids around.
His face is purple. Leave the kid alone.
Yeah. I think
Living proof of it.
He's like, every
Yeah.
10 years.
every 10 years. You're right.
No, but for real, what's exciting for you about this, given the fact that, like, these celebrities are your friends? You've been doing this for decades, literally.
I still love to go to the farmer's market. I still love to go to the fish market because cooking starts with great products. So I want every chef to know you have to start with great products. And just like if you go and buy a suit, you don't going to call up the store and say, send me a great suit, because you don't know what grade it's going to be or what fabric it's going to be or how the cut is. The same thing is with food. So I think it all starts with that. And I still remember when I used to go to the Chino farm, and I used to bring their strawberries back or their melon back or things like that. And I remember I gave it to Sidney Poitier, and he said, I will take all the rest of the strawberries home. How much you have? I never had strawberries like that because, what you get at the supermarket is not the same quality. So for me, it starts with the product. Yes, we do the Oscars now since I started, basically, because when I opened Spago, I did an Oscar party. Mm-hmm. And Swifty Lazar used to get all the A-listers, and I got the B-listers, which was still fun, And
Wait, name these B-listers.
No, don't name anyone.
Yeah, we had Domenico and all the guys like that.
Yeah.
No, we had Marcello Mastroianni, so a little upgrade for me.
Yeah. Just a touch.
But then I asked Swifty, I said, why you don't do the Oscar party at Spago instead of the Bistro Garden? And he said, kid, what's the deal? I said, I give you the same deal as they give you at the Bistro Garden, and except you're going to get good food. He said, okay, you have a deal. So I became very friendly with Swifty, and Swifty did his Oscar party there, and he had all the old superstars at that time, like Jimmy Stewart, Cary Grant, Elizabeth Taylor. And the young ones were like Michael Jackson and Madonna and Sean Penn, and they were at that time,
Yeah, they were
in their 20s still.
Yeah.
So was Jack Nicholson used to come. I remember Swifty said, "Okay, Jack is here now. I can go home." Swifty was already in his 70s at that time, and I remember one time. The fire marshal comes while we were setting up the tables for the Oscar parties, and we had like 170 guests or something. And the fire marshal counts the chairs, and he says, you're only allowed to seat 120 people. I said, shit, what am I going to do now? I'm going to tell Swifty and says, yeah, Elizabeth Taylor can sit down or Jimmy Stewart can sit down or whatever. So then I told him, no, I think we have more. And then I sent him up to see Tom in the office. I said, Tom knows up in the office exactly. And Tom answered him and he said, you have too many seats down there and you're only allowed 120. And Tom said, 120 in the restaurant, but we have an extra 60 in the garden. And since it was already the evening, they couldn't check the city hall or anything like that if it's really true. And the guy said, okay, just post it too. So, and I was biting my fingernails. I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. So we had funny things. So then in the 80s, we did with Swift at a party at Spago. And I think in 93 or 94, we had all these people who used to come to Spago. Nobody went to the governor's ball, and they were really bothered that we were doing this party because nobody went to see them. And I remember they were waiting there with the TV crews and said, oh, Michael Jackson gonna come or so-and-so gonna come, and nobody showed up. And I said, because they said on the TV, the anchor said, we're gonna wait for them. And so I shut off all the TVs in our restaurant. I said, I don't want them to think they have to go there because they were already sitting at Spago. I remember Billy Wilder came with Chuck Lemmon and Walter Matthau and Gregory Peck. And,
so cool.
And they were waiting for them at the governor's ball at the Hilton. So it was crazy. And then when Swifty died, we did it once, and it was a disaster because everybody and their mother, everybody who was a customer at Spago said, I want to come to the party. I fixed the teeth for Chuck Nichols. And the other one, I'm the shrink for Betty White or somebody, So, and I said, I can't.
Right, that's what Dom does. He just goes around saying he sells cheese to certain people.
That's
He's trying to
awesome.
get into shit.
Yeah, so I said, this is impossible. People used to send me nasty letters and cursed me out. I'm never coming to your restaurant. So that's when I decided, okay, when Otto Hiller and Alan and Marilyn Bergman, who were on the board at that time of the governors, for AMPAS, and they asked me always, why you don't do our party? Why you don't do our party? And I still remember then I said, yes, okay, we're going to do it, something new. We're going to try it. And I remember they had a party planner doing the decoration and everything. And I had my chef Matt at that time at the restaurant, and we were doing a tasting for them. And I said, okay, this is what I'm going to cook. I think we had some appetizers, we had a salad or whatever, first course, main course, and dessert. And so the party planner said, well, you don't going to make them taste the chicken, or you don't going to make them taste the fish or a beef or lamb or whatever. And the chef said, Matt said, Wolfgang told me that's what we're going to do. So when we did that tasting, I told them, I stood up for them, there were like 20 of them, and I said, I just want us hope we agree on that you guys do the movies and I do the cooking. I don't gonna tell you how to make movies, so don't tell me how to cook. So you're gonna have a great lunch. At the end, they said, thank you so much. It's the first time we didn't have a fight, because before somebody said, I want steak, the other one want fish and whatever. Wow, so, and that was 31 years ago.
Wow. But you bring in, because we always see a lot of the chefs. You bring in everybody. Even Mike. Mike comes in from Austria.
Yeah.
He comes here for 8 to 10 hours. He's drinking and eating, and then he goes to work for you.
Yeah.
Talk about how many people it actually takes to put this thing on. It's everybody.
Istvan, who comes from Spago in Budapest. We have the guys come from Istanbul. Dennis, the chef of Spago in Istanbul, comes. So whoever can come, whoever gets free, or in foreign countries, if they're foreigners, if they can get a visa, like now it's difficult to get a visa. Yeah. So they all come. Everybody wants to come and help. I have a couple of Austrians come. Hannes comes, and so
Bernie comes.
Yeah. Plus all the chefs from our restaurants here, from New York, from Washington, and everywhere, really.
So we're going to spend, I think, the second half of this interview sort of, talking about the future, like we said, of all things Puck. But I want to ask this question that I've asked you probably 8 or 9 times, and I know what the answer is, but I just want you to say it again. So, Wolfgang, you talk about this, and you still have so much energy. You still remember all these stories perfectly. You're still excited to tell them. At what point are you just going to say, okay, I'm done, I'm moving on, I'm going to retire? And I know the answer is fuck you, I'm never going to retire. Because you basically said that to me directly before. I'm not going to die, so I'm not going to retire. But, what are your thoughts on when you think it's time to walk away, or how you want to walk away?
I think when I walk away, hopefully I will be dead.
Right. No, you told me once that you probably were going to die in your kitchen, right?
Yeah. So I think that would be perfect. Once service is over late at night, by 11 o'clock, and then everybody I'm gonna save some good bottles of wine, no Lambrusco there, and then I tell everybody they should have a great drink and say goodbye, Wolfgang.
So is there anything you like? Is there anything still left for you to do that you really want to do that you're excited about? Like, how do you?
He's gonna have more children. We already talked about.
But that's it every 10 years, though. No, but seriously, like, is there like what else do you want to do? Like, you must want to do other things. I mean, you've done it all already, but is there anything?
No, I continue. I love restaurants. I love opening new restaurants. I love to be with chefs. I love food. I love the guests. I love to be in the dining room. So why change anything? So we are doing and working right now on a new project on the beach here in Malibu, Santa Monica area, on the beach where Gladstone is. And Frank Gehry, who is a good friend for many years, is designing the building, and we're going to do a restaurant on the beach, which will be very exciting.
In the old Gladstones.
In the old Gladstones. And then Byron just came back from Australia, so we might do a big project in Australia, or maybe do a big project also in Greece. So we always talk about new things. We are working on a project in Shanghai. So I think I want to improve the relationship between America and the Chinese people, because we know where Trump going to go with that. So
we know how to do that through food.
I was going to say, you could do anything through food.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree.
So, Byron, what are the things that you're excited about, short-term and long-term? Because I remember this time last year, I saw you guys at F1, and you were talking about how this may be the most intense catering that we've ever done, and we were talking about Gladstones at this one. What's changed this year? Are you going back to F1? What's the next few months look like for you?
Yeah, definitely going back to F1. Myself, I'm actually right before that going to Saudi Arabia. Mm-hmm. So we're going into Riyadh. We opened a Spago in Riyadh about 2 years ago. But we've been operating in Bahrain for about a decade at this point. 2 concepts, Cut, our steak restaurant, and then which is an Asian fusion restaurant that plays like a lot of homage off of Chinois here in Los Angeles, that's been operating for 41 years. So we decided actually to pop up Cut from Bahrain in our Spago in Riyadh, for example. So I think when I look at, the short term, I think there's so many amazing things that my dad's partnered with Aston Martin for Formula One, for example. We already have these amazing brands that exist on a worldwide basis, but being able to showcase them in different lights, creating these kind of strategies, these overarching strategies for them in terms of how we're pushing them forward, and then how we're introducing clienteles to them in new markets as well, whether it be Australia, whether it be Shanghai, Athens, you name it. I mean, one of the most fun experiences I've had to date was in May, since I saw you last time. We opened a Spago in Bodrum. And Bodrum is just one of the most exquisite and beautiful places in the world. So being able to have the opportunity to go there, to work there for, 2 months this summer and really get that restaurant up to snuff was one of the most, memorable experiences I can ask for. And that's what I want to keep doing. I want to keep pushing the envelope. And I think, when I look at my dad and the 42 plus years of this company and then beyond that in terms of his life, I mean, short term, I want to keep growing the restaurants. Long term, my job here is not to just sustain or maintain what has been done. I would personally consider myself a failure if I didn't actively try to grow and promote.
You want to do things that are bigger or wilder that you haven't done before. So let's talk a little bit about Gladstones, because, look, I know it's going to evolve. I know it's years in the making. We've had several conversations about this, and, you've talked about, maybe part of it sells fish tacos, right? Maybe part of it we have wild banquets and parties. Maybe part of it could be a private club, but maybe by the time we open, people don't like private clubs anymore.
Sure.
So tell me your thought process of the number of the different types of experiences you might have at Gladstones.
And by the way, this is something that, how long is this in the making now? Like, we've been hearing about this for a while. Like, when is it coming to fruition?
Well, I think I just going to answer that. It is so hard to get permits on the beach.
So now you have this path. What are some of the things you're thinking about doing at Gladstones?
Well, I think it's interesting to see. We have Spago, we have Cut, we have Chinois, we have pretty seminal brands already within the city. So I think it gives us an opportunity to really do something fresh and new. Could there be a social component to it? Yes. I think we have a wonderful kind of second story that's going to be unbelievable to create some of the most wild activations and plannings and different events that we can do on the beachfront right there as well. But I really think it gives us an opportunity, in the city in which my dad grew the entire business out of, to really turn a new page and from a conceptual standpoint, to bring something new to the city, to have a lot of fun with it. I mean, we're going to have a stand actually outside of the restaurant too. And so we've been going back and forth. I was in Playa del Carmen not too long ago, about a year ago, and had some of the most like amazing fish tacos of my life. And so we've been, pitching back and forth ideas of what that stand that's going to be outside of the restaurant really looks like, right? What type of cuisine do we want to offer? And again, I think it goes back to the earlier conversation. We have to take account of what everything that's happening in the world looks like in the food world right now, right? And then I think doing that through the lens of Wolfgang Puck is what we have so much fun doing. Being able to walk the globe, take influences from them, but then work that into who we are is going to be an absolute blast. So we're still tinkering with that Gladstones project, but it will assuredly be a really fun new experience for us.
Given that you've spent some time, Byron, obviously like in the absolute upper echelon of fine dining, and given that, we've spoken in the past about Rogue, which was the test kitchen where all your chefs came and did their own tasting menus, do you still have the itch to do that type of, for lack of a better term, avant-garde food? Because that's hard to do, obviously, like on a huge high volume level. Most of the restaurants in the world's 50 best, are the size of 2 tables at Spago, right?
Yeah.
So how do you balance those two things in your head?
It's really, at the end of the day, what we want to do is just give an amazing guest experience. That's what we do, right? We try to have amazing food and amazing people and human capital that wants to be there, that wants to exercise amazing food daily out of the kitchen. Build great beverage lists that don't contain Lambrusco. Build amazing bar programs. But no, ultimately what we want to do is we want to make you feel at home.
You guys have evolved a lot with cocktails for sure. It's Spago,
Definitely. But we want to build an experience. We want to make you feel like you're at home when you're dining at Spago in Beverly Hills or Cut or really at any of the concepts around the world. I definitely get the itch though, because my background is, really predicated on a lot of different 3-star Michelin dining experiences. Yeah. Cooking in that fashion, always speaks to me because that's a lot of how I grew up on it.
Yeah.
But one of the most fun things is what my dad alluded to at the beginning, tradition and innovation. A lot of what those restaurants are doing are really innovative, but how do we take methods that they use, techniques that they use, different recipes that they might use to influence certain ingredients, and then work that into the Wolfgang Puck way of things? Because that's fun. I think that can really heighten our cuisine to new levels and then take us farther. Those allow us the ability to build and grow. So I don't think it's a full itch to go that direction. It's how do I take those things that have such an impact on me and then work them back into the group?
Right. I think, you guys literally you translate that into almost, I don't want to say everyday food, but you translate that for someone like myself. Or I can tell you where I sat the first time I went to Spago. Mm-hmm. That to me was.
Where'd you sit?
I sat outside on the patio. Julie, remember Julie from back? Julie was the one who got us a reservation, and it was I was dating my wife at the time,
right?
And it was like her
Which
birthday.
One?
No, come on. But
one of your wives.
To me, that was this unbelievable experience. I've never ate like that in my life, and I started to learn. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So, do you have any idea of when this? I don't even know what you're calling it, Gladstone's concept. Is there a timeline for when we might see an opening, or at least conceptually have something to understand, or we're tight-lipped about everything?
Well, my dad's best trait, I think, is that he's constantly thinking and innovating. Uh-huh. So we don't open a restaurant with a menu more than like a week out, because we always want to change. We want to see what's in season at the end of the day. So I'm just going to I'll let you answer on the timeline perspective, but I can tell you from a food perspective.
Look, I know he's already thinking of something. He's thinking of a joke, and I could see it. He can't control himself.
Give me some water, please, instead of the Lambrusco. Thank you.
No, chef, please. You're in my house.
Oh, okay, good. All right. At least the service is good.
I'm gonna start switching to the beer myself.
Yeah.
All right. So let's just ask this carefully.
All right.
Before your 35th birthday, do you think you're going to be throwing a party at Gladstones, Byron?
Definitely.
Okay, good.
There you go.
He doesn't have a choice. He doesn't have a choice. You have
within,
to, right?
Within the next 5 years.
Starts.
Look, these things are such moving targets. Asking for specifics is ridiculous. We had Ari on. It's just like the menu's going to change 8 times between now and when we open. So there's no point for us. All right, so going back to the question that you wouldn't answer that I want you to answer, who are the 5 best cooks and the 5 worst cooks who've come out of Spago? No, I'm going to ask it a different way, all right? There's a lot of people that I like to call the Wolfgang Puck lifers, right? The ones who, at this point, have cooked everywhere, know how to cook everything. We had Ari on before. You know, Tetsu was at a barbecue at Leeway's house and just started cooking fish on the grill. And everybody's like, well, that's the best fish I've ever had. I'm like, yeah, but it's just because it's this guy fucking around. There's Lee Hefter and all that. Talk a little bit just about how you've had these super chefs, but then I'm curious, have you identified who the next generation of these people are? Because these guys have been doing it for a long time. And yeah, like you, they're all going to live forever, but at some point you got to think about the next thing, right?
Sure.
I think we always have a lot of young, talented chefs. You know, we use it in our restaurants. You know, we use it in different places. Like right now, I have a new chef in Washington. Ari is his name too. So, and then we have Luke in New York, you know, who is fairly new. And then we also have some chefs like Dennis in Istanbul, at Spago Istanbul, or Istvan in Budapest, or Elliot in London. So they're young. Some of them worked with us now for many years, so they get the culture right.
Right.
But also they are obsessed with the product, and they're obsessed to learn. I think staying curious and are always willing to learn is the most important thing for any young chefs or an older chef. You know, once you lose your curiosity and once you don't want to learn anymore, you might as well stop and go with Norbert to New Orleans or something like that. My Austrian friend, yeah.
But you gotta, I want to give a special shout out to our chef in Bodrum as well. His name's Turan. And he's very, very new to the group. But my God, is he exceptionally talented. Young chef, mid-30s, but he came to us and only, you know, a few weeks actually before we opened the restaurant. And he spent every day, 7 days a week, learning with us, educating himself, understanding kind of the Wolfgang Puck ways of the kitchen. And I was so astonished and impressed with just his prowess in the kitchen overall. And it was just amazing to see. And I think to one of your earlier points, right? Like Spago Beverly Hills was always the breeding ground for so many of our chefs. Now we're very fortunate, to my dad's point, to have people like Turan who are new, and then people like Luke, who's our chef at Cut in New York right now, who has been with us for over 10 years, has worked with us in the Middle East and beyond. And we really empower them to train up a lot of these younger cooks that are exceptionally interested in this industry in the things that I think are most near and dear to our heart, which is buying the best ingredients and not fucking it up. Like, that's who we are at our core, right? Yeah. And one of the things that, you know, is so popularized nowadays in terms of this ideology of farm to table, you know, he was doing that 40 years ago. It was driving around when we opened Postrio in San Francisco. That van drove to every single farm you could find around. I think. I mean, who else was doing that? Alice Waters, maybe. Yeah. Like, and that's really it. But it was so popularized back in the day, or as it is now. Back in the day, it wasn't at all. It was expensive, frankly. But you can't cheapen out on quality. And I think that's one of the lessons that so many of these younger cooks understand now, that work within our group at least, that are really translating it so well to the new generation of chefs that are coming up.
We talk about simple dishes like our smoked salmon pizza. Why is it so good? First of all, we make the pizza dough in the restaurant. We get good creme fraiche and mix it with a little sour cream and dill. But then we buy fresh salmon, we cure it, we smoke it. So it was never in the freezer. It's never more than 10 days old or 2 weeks old at the most. So we smoke it the right amount of time, so it's not overly smoked, but you can taste the smoke, but you still can taste the fish. And all you do is put a little lemon, maybe a little black pepper, maybe some caviar and some chives. So it's simple, but we take care of all the stages to get to that dish, you know. So we only want to have the best. And I always say only the best is good enough.
All right, guys. Wow, that was fun having Wolfgang and Byron on. We're going to actually divide that into 2 episodes. For the record, I only have one wife. I have no girlfriends. Just want to clear the slate here. No girlfriends and one adorable, amazing child.
Next week, we're going to talk to Wolfgang and Byron just about the future of their family's empire and sort of look back at the past and maybe see if we can actually get them to name some of the best cooks who were ever at Spago. Wolfgang's going to drop a lot more tea about Dom's personal life that we don't know about. Maybe try to get him to open some things that he's never opened for the regular guests. Wolfgang's probably just going to start opening shit himself. It's going to be a good time.
Can't wait.